I know as toy collectors, we all kind of lament the character selection when it doesn't go to our hopes and dreams, if you will. It's all about character selection. And we used to see back in the day how, existing sculpts would kind of determine. And it's amazing how that trend has continued. Well, I want to look at that today and how the availability of tooling is still dictating which characters we get to bring home. Hey guys, welcome back to an awesome Spector Creative video. Scott Toy Guru Neitlich introductions are now done, and let's jump in. Trying to make those short. I know every video could be one person's first video. I was recently lamenting my Indiana Jones toys, and by lamenting my Indiana Jones toys, I mean, lamenting the fact that we got so few last year in a content movie year. That's sort of our best shot for getting action figures, is when there's a movie out. Even classic. It's why, I was sad that there were so few Captain America, Brave New World figures. Not that I wanted them from the movie, but it was a shot to get more Captain America comic characters if they had done a wave. So that's kind of what I mean when the classic figures sort of hitch themselves onto the coattails, if you will, of a movie to get made. And that's actually, so that's what brought me today. I was going through the figures we did get. And I was looking, I was like, oh, of course we're going to get, quintessential Temple of Doom Indiana Jones with ripped shirt and no gun, even though he comes with a gun. But you disregard it, and now he has no gun. See how accessories can work in reverse? Anyway, this was sort of an expected figure, right? That we'd get the quintessential Indy from every movie, except Crystal Skull, for some reason. This one in particular, this is hypnotized Indiana Jones when the Thuggee cult turns him into a servant of Shiva. And, or actually, I guess not Shiva, of Kali. So it's an odd choice for a figure. It's sort of like a third tier variant of Indy. But versus the fact that we, if you will, didn't get Mola Ram or a Thuggee guard or even a Willy figure. So all of that it goes back to tooling. So setting the stage again, back in the day, and I mean back in the day like the 80s and 90s, it was very common for toy companies to take a tool, a mold of a toy, and repaint that as a different character. I love some of the creative ways Toy Biz did that pre-Marvel Legends, where you had Rogue, and then you had Mystique, or Domino was also Rogue, or no, it was Polaris, and then Jean Grey. I'm picking on female figures. I'm sure there's plenty of male versions, like actually, here's a good one, when Hydro Man got turned into Sandman. Same sculpt. Cool. All right. So yeah, that was more acceptable, especially because that was back in sort of the, was when royalties weren't as high, and a lot of, even just 30 years ago, 20 years ago, a lot of IP holders, studios, were just really, they were looking at this as, yes, something that was going to drive sales, but they were okay with it not always being perfectly on model. You could make exceptions for translating IP into toys. And that's why Elektra and Psylocke get to share the exact same sculpt. All right, they're just repaints. Flash forward to today, you can't really get away with that as much. We don't see that. I mean, obviously things like clones or Mandalorian warriors get repainted, or astromech droids, but that's in those the IP, accepts that, if you will. Like that's the way they look on screen. Astromech droids all look the same with different deco. Yes, I know they have different heads sometimes, but bear with me, go with me on this one. All right, how about clones? We'll use clone troopers as a better example, that I won't get hate blonks in the comments because I don't know my Astro droids. All right, so yeah, so you won't see a Han Solo repainted as Luke Skywalker, or infinite the case of Green Lantern repainted as the Riddler, which we even paid homage to back at Mattel Superpowers homage days. But yeah, you won't see that anymore. But sort of the reverse of the metal of this technique of needing to save money based on tooling availability. Instead of just repainting a what happens to be available tends to dictate what characters get made. So, like I was saying about this indie figure. So this hypnotized indie would probably never have been made except for the fact that it's an easy repaint of this figure. So you can see it's the same figure. He's shirtless. The shirt is a separate piece. So all they had to do was sculpt one extra arm and a unique head. That's all he has, and removed the belt. So it was basically a low. This guy was a low tool slot filler. And that happens all the time. You have a certain budget of tooling, which is linked to sales. And you have to make a certain amount of characters. Let's call it 6 in a case pack. That's kind of standard for a wave. So looking at the available tooling, you have to divide that between your fully tooled figures, your partially tooled figures, and your repainted figures. So we're seeing, and clever toy companies will find ways of weaving in the repaints and the low tool costs, hopefully in a way that you never notice it. That's when it's done right. Like, for example, the upcoming Marvel Legends Banshee is a straight repaint of the previous Marvel Legends Banshee. But yes, much like clones and astromech droids, the direct repaint works. Other cases like this Futurama Zoidberg, right? Straight repaint, and even a third version by just doing a new head. All low tool, no tool solutions to filling out case pack character assortment requirements. So you can't just, ship a case pack of 2 characters. That's boring and it doesn't sell. That's why there's variety in case packs. It's for moms and gift givers and kids and, of course, collectors to get their characters. But on shelf, you want to see variety. When I worked in the Hot Wheels division, we called it a variety of silhouettes, because that's what you're kind of seeing with the cars, the silhouette. And you want to see a truck silhouette and a race car silhouette and an ice cream truck and a sports car, versus all just sports cars. Even all look the same, even if they're in a different color. So it's a deviant of that, basically, where you are now. It's not just silhouettes, but it's what can we do with this tooling to maximize a different look. And I know I'm bringing up this indie again and again. There goes his sword. But it's such a perfect example of that, because you have the tooling for one. Another good example is the Imperial Guards that we're getting a lot of in Star Wars recently. So it's like, boom, once you have one, we've never gotten so many. And I think a big reason is sales are down. Part of that is because character selection is down. Character selection down causes sales to be down. And I know it's a vicious circle that eats itself. But we've gotten, character after character, is different Imperial officers, characters disguised as Imperial officers from the books, from the movies, from the TV shows, because the tool is available. And we see this in the Black Series too. Like, I remember when in that episode of Mandalorian in season 2, where he's in the Imperial tank driver disguise, the moment I saw that on screen, I'm like, oh, we're going to get that figure really quick, because they already had the tank driver, so they just had to pop on a head, and they could even do both Mando, and they could do oh gosh, why am I completely blanking on the guy with the Dash Rendar gun, the bald guy? It'll come to me. Someone will put it in the comments. I'll put it up on screen. All right, so yeah, I knew both of them were going to get made, if you will, before we got a version of them in their Mayfield. Oh, I got there. In his, like the outfit he wore before he put on the Imperial disguise. So, yeah, there you go. You can, tooling dictated that we got the disguised versions first, because the body was already available. And, same thing with all those Imperial officers that we're getting now. It's like, for years, all I wanted was more Imperial officers. Thought we were finally there with the Captain Nita body that even had an interchangeable Imperial emblem, but then they never used it. I thought they were going to do what they're doing now. So, yeah, it's both, it's both good and evil. If you love Imperial officers, it's a great time to be a collector. If you hate Imperial officers, you're probably pulling your hair out. But that's why it has to happen. They need assortments. Tooling is limited to profitability and sales. And, unless you're selling billions of units like Ninja Turtles or He-Man was at their peak, that's why those lines at their peak had such everything was uniquely tooled. But when lines are on the other side of the bell curve, either just starting or ending up, tooling can be limited, and repaints or clever tooled solutions, well, that becomes the way to keep a line going. I hope you found this video interesting and it explained some stuff about the toy industry maybe you didn't know. Share it if you can. It's the best way to support this channel. I appreciate it, and I will see you guys in the next video.